friends, welcome to episode 126 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha and you can find me anywhere online as Nadir Tani. I am coming to you today from inside my home and in Central Florida because outside my home, the cicadas, or what did someone call them last in the comments? Tree toads. I think it was tree toads. The tree toad choir is getting kind of rowdy out there, so I tried to record out there and they weren't having it. So I decided not to like buzz your ears off again with the cicadas. So we're in my bedroom. You can see my sun weaving here. And yeah, I think that's everything for the beginning of the podcast. I don't know why I can never remember what I say at the beginning. Probably because I get distracted by like some little story real quick. And then I'm just like, oh man, did I say all the things I need to say? I think I did. Anyway, so admin. I wanted to give you guys an update. Last week I spoke about my experience being a part of the Inside Crochet podcaster spread that they did. It was a yay experience, and if you want like the whole story of that, the beginning of last week's episode will explain everything. The update is I sent an email to the contact person who originally reached out to me, expressing my feelings regarding the way that my words were edited, and she forwarded it up to her editor, who then reached out to me to apologize for that editing and assuring me that they didn't edit me that way intentionally, and it's not something that they want to continue doing, which please don't continue doing that. But one of the points that I made in the email that I sent was how I would love for this interaction, for this whole thing to cause them to have to be, or to want to be, a little bit more discerning when it comes to editing people's words. So I also understand that the things that I think are important could potentially be missed by someone else, which is exactly what happened. The portion of my my blurb that was edited out was the point that I started this whole thing. The Quirky Monday Craftcast was started because I noticed a lack of representation of Black people in this area. So that's why I podcast, because I was looking for this podcast, 4 years ago, and I couldn't find it. So I started to record videos because obviously if I am looking for this podcast, then someone else has to be looking for this same kind of content. Someone else has to be looking for someone that they can relate to outside of We Make Pretty Things, So, yeah, I think that the way that my words were edited kind of boiled down the Quirky Monday Craftcast to this happy girl in Florida makes pretty things and likes space and dogs. When all of that is true, but it's also very important to me that people understand that the reason that this space exists is a need for representation. That's the reason. That's why you guys get videos of me talking a lot, like every 1 to 2 weeks. Like, that's why. So yeah, I really appreciated them reaching back out and apologizing for that editing. It made me feel like someone took my words and believed me. And that is very important because a lot of times, you know, as a Black person, I am kind of like made to feel like, oh, you're overreacting about that, or it's not such a big deal that they edited your words like that, or, you know, it's not such a big deal that this happened or that happened, or they didn't mean it, you know. So a lot of times I start thinking like, oh, am I doing the most? Like when I was writing the email, I probably worked on that email for at least 3 hours, and it was probably a paragraph and a half long, if that. So, you know, that shows you how much thought and energy I put into that, because it was important. And to have someone, you know, receive that message and be like, you know what, we made a mistake and I'm sorry. That is a lot. Like, that is a lot. Because to be honest, I am surprised when people apologize for offending or saying something that didn't come across the way they meant it. I am surprised that they apologize for that, because more often than not, what you get is someone will say something and then I express to them like why what you said was either hurtful, or this is how I took it, you know, or, you know, anything like that, explaining to them like why you're coming at me like this. And instead of that person saying, you know what, I'm sorry that I offended you, or I'm sorry that you didn't like take what I said as I meant it, that side of the communication failed, more often than not, I'm given non-apologies. Like, oh, that wasn't my intention. Okay. Just because you didn't intend to offend someone does not mean that you didn't do it. So, not an apology. Or I will get, well, let me explain to you. No. You don't get to explain away offending someone, or you don't get to explain away hurting someone. Or I'll get, you're misinterpreting my words, or that's not what I said, or, you know, any of these things. I get a lot of defensiveness back, which when that happens, I'm just like, okay, whatever. But it takes, so all that, I say all that to say, when I got the actual, like the apology, I was surprised. I honestly didn't expect to get anything back. So I really appreciate that apology, and I messaged them back. I replied and I told them, like, I really appreciate you all reaching back out and apologizing for that editing. That shows at least a desire to learn and grow from this experience. So, and I will also say, I felt so much anxiety about sending this message that after working on that email, actually in that day I was working on that email and also working on a reply to a comment, and by the time I finished both of those messages and I sent them, I fell asleep, and Lamar, my husband, told me that I slept for like something ridiculous, like 17 hours. Like, I fell asleep in the afternoon of one day and didn't wake up until like the afternoon of the next day. Like, it took me out. And there's so much that's balled up in that anxiety. You know, it's the, am I coming across aggressive? Am I being too hard? Are they going to think that I'm overreacting? Are they going to think that I'm an angry black woman? Are they going to think that we put her, or we included her, so she should be grateful? Like a list of thoughts that are all based in things that people have said to me before. And when the truth is, I deserve to be able to speak up, to speak up for myself, period. I deserve to be able to challenge, be it editing of a magazine or someone's comment on a video. I deserve to be able to challenge that. I deserve to be heard in my challenging, and to have, and I should not feel like I have to soften myself up so much so that the other person will hear me, when this right here is how I regularly speak. This right here is how I communicate. So when I have to soften this up because I am hoping that these other people will listen to my words, like if I have to start an email or a comment or reply or something off and say, please read what I wrote, I don't think I should have to do that, but here we are. So yeah, just the fact that it took me out for 17 hours after that, y'all, it's difficult sometimes. So let's go ahead and talk about some yarny things, shall we? The first thing that I want to address is y'all, I just tried to keep talking through those feelings, and if you hear the tap tap, it's Tootie. Hi, Tootie. Talking about that anxiety and talking about how it felt to work on those replies the other day is sitting on my chest right now. So when I say it gets difficult sometimes, it really does. But we press on, we still show up, we still show up. Okay, the first thing that I want to point out is my head wrap situation that I have going on. This head wrap is a shawl. It is the Main Star shawl patterned by Zakiya of Ladywing Designs, and I have knit it out of the first hand spun that I ever worked with. This hand spun yarn was spun by Jade of So Perfect Pearls, and yeah, I really like it. It kind of looks like it's about to fall up, like unravel, but it's not. It's in there. I decided I wanted to see what like wearing a shawl as a head wrap was gonna be like. It's pretty okay. It is a little bit small for my liking, but I dig it. This is not something that I would do all the time because the texture of wool and like natural fibers like that is very similar to the texture of Afro hair. So my texture especially tends to dry out very easily. So that coupled with a similar fiber would basically dry out my hair even more. So what I would see, probably not so much since I'm locked, but if I had my like loose hair and I wore a lot of wool hats or headbands or things like that made out of wool, I would start getting a lot of breakage because of that drying and because of that that texture on my strands. So it's cute. Wouldn't do it all the time, but you know, like, what is it? Like a little dessert. You don't need it all the time, but when you do, it's pretty great. So yeah, that's the first thing that I wanted to point out. The first finished object that I have for this podcast is a bag. I think I showed you this bag in progress last week. It's got all of my projects in it for this week. But look, this is the bag that I made with my my hand spun plastic yarn, and I used, is it the sugar and cream? I don't know, it might be the sugar and cream, whatever the cotton yarn is that they sell at Joann's in the ecru colorway, to make the top. And I did straps, and I even put a little tassel on there using up my last bit of plastic yarn. So I used all of the plastic yarn, and I have carried this a couple times, and I really like it. And I am so happy I went with the ecru color because it's so perfect, right? I love it a lot. Yay! So that's I guess I can empty it and show it to you guys. Okay, so this is the bag, empty. And I didn't follow a pattern for this. I basically did just a flat circle. So, and then from there, I did, let me see if I can put my hand behind it. Lattice work. So I did I think 8 rows of lattice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. I did 6 rows of lattice. And then from the lattice, I realized I was running low on yarn. So I did kind of a granny stitch, but instead of clusters of 3 double crochets, I did clusters of 2 double crochets. And I did 2 rows of that. And then I switched to the cotton yarn and just did granny rounds. So, and did that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So I did 10 rows or 10 rounds of the granny stripe. And then my straps. And I just kept holding like the bag up to me as I was making the straps so that I could find a length that fit well, because I didn't want it to be too low so that I would have to, like, you know, awkwardly reach down into the bottom of the bag, but I also didn't want it up in my armpit. So there's that. I really like this bag. I'm glad I did it. I'm not going to line it. It is finished. Definitely would recommend. And I feel like this is an excellent way to reuse plastic bags. If you have access to a spinning wheel, cut them into strips and spin them into yarn. And my next finished object, I am finished with all of the crocheting for this project. I just have a little bit of sewing left to do. And that is my doll. So this is the African American Ballerina doll by Yolanda Jordan of My Pretty Brown Doll. The pattern, as she writes it, is supposed to have like a pom-pom bun, but I decided not to do that because I'm making this for one of my friend's daughters, and I'm using a photo of her as the inspiration for this doll's like look. So her whole body was done last week. The only changes that I made to her, I tightened her neck. As you can see, she's like last week she had like a long skinny neck, kind of like this. I mean, I wouldn't say that I have a long skinny neck, but whatever. Her neck was like this last week, and like this week it's like this, but that's because now her head is a little bit more secure. But I still think she's cute. I also removed half of the strands of hair because I realized the hair was pulling her head back this way because it was so heavy. So I removed half of her strands and put her braids back in. And she's got little gold embellishments in her hair because the little girl had those in the picture. So she's got her braids to match her person, and I'm very excited. So last episode I was talking about how cute it would be if I did a red, black, and green skirt for her. And then as I was editing, I was like, you know what, Kalisha, what would be even better would be making her skirts that represent the countries where her parents are from. So, one moment. We have a skirt for Mom, and none of the ends are woven in on the skirts yet, but I love them. So here's Mom. She is from Jamaica. And then we have one for Dad. Y'all, I am so proud of this. Oh my gosh. We have one for Dad, and he is from Trinidad. So, yes. This just makes me so happy. So, the way that Yolanda has you make the doll, she tells you when to change color like this. So it always looks like the doll has on a leotard or like a shorts, a onesie. But so she has her little Trinidadian skirt and her Jamaican skirt, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy. So the last thing, the sewing that needs to be done is her little dress out of this fabric. So I'm gonna have to take so many pictures of this doll before I give her away because I really want to keep her. I really do. And of course I had to put her in my kente bag because, you know, themes. So I've got a lot of ends to weave in, little tiny dress to make, and then she will be all done. Well, I guess along the same line, I didn't want to make something for their daughter and like not make anything for their son. He's like a year younger than his sister, I think, and he actually just had a birthday. So I was like, well, obviously I have to make him something. And I was trying to come up with something that I think he would like. But I don't know. So they recently, or maybe it was last year, I don't know. She recently shared a picture of him from a photo shoot that they did, and he had like a Superman shirt on under, and he was like opening his little like button down, so like Superman. So I was thinking maybe I can make him like a super cape, and instead of the Superman symbol, use his first initial. I think that would be really adorable. I can't do anything small. I can't. I live the life of go big or go home. Yeah. That is, well, I kind of jumped over into maker plans, but that's everything for finished objects. Boom and boom. So we'll go into works in progress. There we go. Hi, look at those colors. Works in progress. So I have a lot of works in progress that either I haven't worked on or they're just ribbing. I have not shown the Hope Shawl by Snickerdoodle Knits in a couple episodes because I haven't worked on it. I have really been wanting just plain mindless knitting, kind of. like I have not been wanting to do lace, and the Hope shawl is basically all lace. So that is still hanging out in its project bag. I will get back to that in the future. I have my watermelon sock. I probably did maybe one color repeat, one or two, yeah, probably like one color repeat since y'all saw it last week. It is still living in my origami bag by the Dabbling Hook. And yeah, so not a lot of difference happening here. I think this stitch marker is marking where the heel is gonna go. It doesn't matter. I'm making all the socks at one time. So we're gonna move this up so that next time you see it, you'll know how much I did. It's not gonna be a lot. I'll tell you now. Yes, I am.
Hi, internet friends.
That was Lamar. You want to say nothing else? No?
This curry.
Can you bring the curry back here for me to taste?
Still on stuff.
Oh. Well, then it's too hot for me to taste. Or you can put some in a spoon and then walk it all the way back here, and by the time it gets back here, it'll be cooled off. So yeah, that's, huh? Oh yeah. Okay. So that is everything with these socks. I'm going to put these like on my workspace so that when I'm in meetings, I can knit on them. Because I used to, like when we were like on campus, I would knit in meetings. But for some reason, when we're remote and I'm in Zoom meetings, I can't knit. I don't know what's up with that. So yeah, the next work in progress is a cuff. I am using Knit Pick Stroll Fingering, a bare skein. And I have knit a cuff. Yay! Look, it disappears into the wall. It's gone. I've knit a cuff, and this is going to be the Ice Lolly socks, I think is what they're called, by Anushka of the Crimson Stitchery. And I know I just said that I'm not really digging lace right now, and these socks are pretty much lace, so I don't expect them to go very fast at all. But for probably, I don't know, the better part of 2 years, I've had this idea that I want to knit myself some white lace socks. This is that. So they can just hang out and get worked on whenever they get worked on. You don't have a spoon of curry. I don't know why he was grinning so hard walking in here to take the chair. Anyway, so that's that project. Not a whole lot to see. Maybe it'll have more work on it next week. I'm not sure. And that is all of my works in progress. So let's do some stash positions, shall we? I've got a couple things that were given to me as gifts and a couple things that I purchased myself. So I want to show you the gifts first. This book is by a podcast viewer. It is called I Am Wonderfully Me, Positive Affirmations for Me, Volume 1. Photography and script by Audrey, Tait, MS. So that's what the book looks like. Fun fact, I really like squirrels. Actually, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with squirrels. But in college, I had a pet squirrel for like a whole day. I was walking back from some class and I was walking through the grass and I saw a little like wiggle and I looked down and it was a baby squirrel that had like fallen out of the nest. And I looked around and I could not find any nest anywhere. So me being the little bleeding heart that I am, I brought him home to my dorm room. And I remember telling my roommate, like calling her and being like, hey, just to let you know, I have a squirrel. And she was like, what? Get that thing out of the room. And I was like, but he's so cute. She's like, I don't care. Get him out of the room. And I was like, okay, bye. And so when she got back from her class, she like flung the door open and she was like, get that squirrel out of the room. And I just like held up the little box that I had him in. And she was like, I don't want to see that thing. Oh, he's so cute. What's his name? I wanted to name him Pilsy after one of the characters in the Foamy the Squirrel cartoons. She did not like that idea. She wanted to name him Q-Dog. Why is that better? So we compromised and named the squirrel Q Pilsy. Oh gosh, this story just, every time I tell this story or think about it, I'm just like, gosh, I was such a weirdo. Still a weirdo, but y'all. So yeah, little Q Pilsy did not make it through much of the next day. He made it through the night, but he sadly left us. But at least he had a nice little warm thing to curl up in, because he was probably injured. But anyway, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this this squirrel on the front of this book. But yeah, so the book is full of writings, affirmations, and really, really beautiful photography. I really like the colors in these. There's a lot of flower photography, some nature, some duck butts. But yeah. So I am going to read this, and I am going to enjoy having some positive affirmations. I love collecting books of positive quotes, positive affirmations, like different things like that. I have so many of them. I'm looking over there because a lot of them are on my shelf over there. But so thank you so much, Audrey, for sharing that book with me. She does have a website, so I will link that below if you are interested in also getting a copy of I Am Wonderfully Me. The other thing that was given to me came from a member of our Fiber community. It came with this sticker, so you probably know who it is. Z, who is Zelda NRJ3, sent me a message and she was like, hey friend, what size shirt do you wear? And I was like, I don't know, medium? And it turns out she purchased one of Gigi Made It's Stand in the Gap t-shirts, but she was delivered the wrong one. So she sent it to me. So now I have a Stand in the Gap t-shirt too from my Auntie Gigi. Well, from Z, from Auntie Gigi by way of Z. There's a lot of alphabets in that sentence. But Stand in the Gap is a message that Auntie Gigi has been sharing a lot recently, just in reference to social justice and change. How people who are like allies of whatever the oppressed group is, people who consider themselves allies need to stand in the gap between the powers that be and the people suffering from the social injustice. It's also a challenge to find those areas where you can be a better ally, to be a better voice, right? Auntie Gigi definitely articulates her idea better because it is her idea. Also, I call her Auntie Gigi because she called me Niecy Poo one time, and that's all I need. She's my aunt now. Can't tell me nothing. But I was on Instagram and I saw that Auntie Gigi is getting ready to release enamel pins of the Stand in the Gap image. And that's what I want. I'm waiting for that enamel pin and I'm gonna be all on it. I remember the first time I bought one of Auntie Gigi's pins. I was on my way to work at the studio. I used to work in a portrait studio in the mall. I was on my way to work in the studio and I had put an alarm on my phone, and for whatever reason it didn't go off, and I happened to glance at the clock and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss her update, and her stuff sells out. So I pulled the car over in order to buy one of her pins. And I think, which pin was it? I think it was the We Knit 2. Yeah, the We Knit 2 pin. Because I was like, oh, I'm getting this pin. I'm getting this pin. And then I thought that I missed it, but I didn't. And I got one of the pins, and I am so happy about that. So very happy. I'm just full of stories today, guys. I don't know what's up with me. Maybe it's all that coffee that I've been drinking. I've been having multiple days where I've drunk like 3 and 4 cups of coffee, which is not how I usually roll. Anyway, so those were the 2 things that I was given as gifts, the shirt and the book. The next things that I want to show you guys are some things that I purchased myself. If you're a returning viewer, you know that I'm kind of a sticker hoarder. I'm not a sticker hoarder. I'm a sticker collector. And these are my 2 newest stickers. They are from Brown Girl Knits. This one is, she actually has this as an enamel pin, which I have. Y'all, I'm serious, man. Whenever I just want to like buy random things, I try my hardest to support, you know, other Black businesses. But when you have imagery like this, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to. Like, she got a shawl on her head. I need to know what shape this shawl is. I need to know how long this shawl is, because I would totally do this. Like, I would totally do this. No problem. All day. Like, she cute. And so I have her on an enamel pin as well. And then she did this image, which that fro is amazing. When I had a fro, it never stood up on the top like that. I just wanted to be a microphone. But I couldn't. Because the top of my hair is a different texture than the rest of it. So like all of this was like boof. And this on the top was just like maybe. Frustration. I just wanted to be a microphone. Lastly, I purchased, let's dump them out. I purchased some buttons from Inclusive Randomness. Inclusive Randomness. It is a Black-owned business that sells buttons. And they have, you know, a lot of culturally relevant buttons. And then they also have, like, just, like, funny ones. So I got these 2 because obvious. It's obvious. This one says introvert. And this one says I need space. It me. And then I got, you know, some Black Pride ones. I have Black is Beautiful. protect your peace, and Black Lives Matter. And I really like this imagery. I really like the colors. I really, really liked that one. This was actually the first one that I put in my cart when I was perusing the site. And the last one that I bought is this one. Relax, relate, release. That is funny because that is a quote from A Different World. It's actually the character Whitley who said that. And Lamar's favorite show is A Different World. He loves that show. One of the one of the photo shoots that we are going to do at some point in life, once I find the correct outfits in the Goodwill, is we're going to do a Dwayne and Whitley photo shoot based on this picture. And yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I mean, it all hinges upon finding the correct clothing in the Goodwill, and as you guys see, that outfit is something special. But I believe in my local thrift stores. Anyway, so I got this one because I knew it would make Lamar smile, and it did. I showed it to him and he went, "Aw." So, yeah, I have quite the collection now of buttons and pins, and I need to find a new way of displaying them because I have a small like pin banner that I made, but it's like this big and I have way more pins than this. So I need to create a bigger banner, or maybe I'll put something, like hang something over here. I need to do something with this space back here. But yeah, that is probably not going to happen in the very near future. But yeah, so that's everything for stash positions, I think. So that brings us to life and whatnot. And life and work have been crazy town. Okay, life has not been crazy town. Work has been 18 kinds of crazy, y'all. Like, all the kinds of crazy. So, I work in a university in their nursing department. And what we are doing now is basically on the fly, with the rest of the country on the fly, trying to figure out how to continue like school as usual, but having snatched all of the in-person processes and classes and chucked them online, and how to keep the machine going. And legitimately, what I feel like is, you know, those circus performers that have all the sticks and they have all the plates spinning? That's what I feel like we're doing. We're just trying to keep all of these plates spinning, and they are wobbling all over the place. And like different committees and the university are like, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. And it's just like, we're sitting here trying to keep these things spinning, and they are throwing tomatoes. And we're just like, dodge the tomato, spin the plate. Like, that's why there has been too much coffee, because, yes, too much coffee, too little calm, like working late hours. We're like working overtime, trying to make sure that the new students who are supposed to be starting in the fall are set up and ready to go. Like, I have never been in a situation where so many huge things change every day. And I understand that this is not a regular thing. Like, yes, you know, having all the new students come in is going to be busy, but I do understand that it's crazy town because pandemic. So yeah. So yeah. Like, after I finish filming this, I'm gonna clock back in and do some more work because it's got to get done. And next week, I am actually on a mandatory week off because because COVID, because pandemic, in order to save money, our university is having like all staff use a week of their paid time off, because I don't know how that works, but it helps the university save money. So next week I'm off work, and that stresses me out because I know that with as fast as things are changing now, I'm going to be gone a week and it's going to feel like I've been gone for 2 months. Like, pray, church, pray. Pray for your girl. But that being said, I do have a week off. So next week's podcast, hopefully, will have a lot more actual work and not just ribbing. And I'm thinking about vlogging. I'm thinking about doing a daily vlog, kind of like Vlogmas. So maybe I'll do, and I also realized that I never started the Grinchmas in July that I wanted to do. Like Grinchmas in July Cal that I wanted to do. So maybe I will do a week-long Grinchmas vlog series. What do you think? I can probably wear a different Grinch outfit every day. And I don't know, maybe do something Grinchy. I don't know. I kind of like that idea, so I might even do that if you guys are like, nah, that's dumb. Probably still gonna do it. Why? Because my love of the Grinch runs deep. If you're a new viewer, that is one thing that you need to know about me. And if you ever wondered how deep my love of the Grinch runs, by the end of last Vlogmas, I cannot tell you how many people were sending me all kinds of Grinchy products. Like, oh, it's a Grinch thing, send it to Kalisha. And I was like, yeah, I love the Grinch. I do. When he realizes, like, the real meaning of Christmas, I get choked up. And I'm not even lying. Like, that is the truth. And then when he gets, like, the strength of 10 Grinches plus 2 and he saves the sled. Now, these are all from the cartoon because that's the real Grinch. These other movies, okay, we like them, we watch them. But the real Grinch is the cartoon. Okay? Which I know verbatim. Not sorry. Anyway, I think I have talked myself into a week of Grinchiness. So we're gonna have, what am I calling it? Grinchmas in July. A week of Grinchy vlogs. I need to write that down. So thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you were able to laugh at some of my random stories. I feel like my energy was very big today. I don't know why it just got so big. We're gonna blame it on the coffee. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of my universe. And leave a comment down below of something positive that happened to you in the past week, in the past whatever. Leave an encouraging note or a bright spot or anything like that. Yeah, I miss seeing the bright spots. I didn't ask for them last week, and people didn't write it. Oh no, there was one bright spot that I remember seeing. I'm going to find that comment and insert it right here. Okay, I found the bright spot. It is from Emily. And Emily said, I have a few bright spots. 1, I finally got to see Hamilton, and it is amazing. Everyone is so talented, and it floored me. I have not seen Hamilton yet. I know. Everyone gasps and clutches their pearls. 2, I've been able to talk to one of my friends every day, and it's been so nice as we are both disabled and homebound generally, but even more so now, and it has brought us closer together. And 3, I have just started a test knit that is going to be so fun that I will not want to do my real job. I need my knitting and crochet to take me away. So yes, that was our bright spot from the comments last episode. So back to Kalisha 5 minutes ago. So if you have a bright spot, feel free to leave it down below. I was doing so good with reading them at the beginning of the podcast, and I fell off. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get back on the good foot. So leave a comment down below of something positive that happened to you, a bright spot, an inspirational message, an uplifting word. Like, leave those things in the comments. Yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for being a part of my universe. Bye, friends.